everybody. How have you been? Just checking in here. After the whole retrograde thing, we're all in the clear, so it's time to regroup and kind of go over some things because I love to check in, especially after some things change and shift, especially with me. Um, and I want to thank you all for being part of this journey with me. I truly appreciate you. And I want to start by saying that this one was extremely difficult. I know if it was for me, it was for you as well. And that's the big thing that I really love to not only discuss, but encourage. So many of us, feel like we're the only ones. We always feel like no one understands. And that's actually not true. We are all very similar to each other. It's just a matter of speaking up and speaking out about what's truly important to us. Um, this one was difficult. I've discussed doing my brain mapping and opening up some things that maybe weren't working for me in the past, and I didn't really understand why, or how to repair these things that were creating the person that I was. And although I understood that I was having difficulties with connection and trust, um, I didn't feel good about that because I understood that my upbringing, my childhood was part of that. And so me realizing it and accepting it just wasn't enough. Me coming out of my comfort zone and creating these videos, creating this group, sharing vulnerable things, personal things that I had never shared before, was just not enough, and I couldn't understand how to move forward from that. So I started doing all these different things to try to open up those vessels of not only bringing stuff in but releasing it simultaneously. So I kind of put the connection thing on steroids, and I opened up to a whole bunch of people that I've never met before, that I don't know. And all it did was connect me with people that are just like me. People started reaching out and saying, "Hey, I totally understand. I always thought I was the only one. I feel misunderstood. I feel like I don't fit in, things like that." And because I opened up in a vulnerable way, so did others. And I realized that this really isn't about me. This is about how others can feel understood through me. They understand themselves, where sometimes I articulate things in a way where maybe they didn't understand quite yet, that's why things were happening. So that's what I want to talk about today. So what happened to me, what opened up for me, was the emotion. Obviously, I had memories of things that had happened, but I would shut them down immediately, and I would say, you know what, it's in the past, let it go, and I felt that was doing the work. I was wrong. Acknowledging things from the past is only the beginning. Feeling it is where the healing begins. Actually feeling it and actually letting it surface, and then replacing that emotion with an understanding and coming out of it feeling better. Not, "Oh, this feels, bad, I don't like this," and then shutting it down and then letting it again get suppressed. So what surfaced for me was a lifetime of pain, fear, rejection, loneliness, isolation, withdrawal. Everything that I felt never became articulated, not once. I'd feel this pain, this fear, this loneliness, and I never talked about it, because it made me sad. And so I did my best to participate in the world, even though I felt like I wasn't understood or even belonged there. So I attached myself to different things that weren't for me, but it's the best I could do. And what surfaced for me was panic attacks. I didn't realize that I was having panic attacks throughout my entire childhood and life. To me, I thought I was cold when I would clench my jaw, and I would literally do that and shake. And what I would do is get a bunch of blankets and pile them up, get inside of them, turn the heat all the way up, and just kind of freak out and then cry about it. But that was how I coped. I was trying to heal myself. I didn't really understand what was happening. And the biggest thing was nobody saw this. Nobody was there to see it or help me through it. So I hid it. I was ashamed of it. And that resurfaced recently for me. I felt it. And I I could not understand how I survived. I was like, how am I alive? I can't even handle this shit now. I can't even deal with this pain right now and all this work I've done, all of, 38 years of effort, and this is intolerable. And lucky for me, I do have an amazing husband that didn't make me feel bad about it, didn't make it worse. He didn't go away. He leaned into me and he helped me through it. And because of the place I am in my life, I've been able to not only draw that kind of a partner in, but give that kind of a partner, some of me as well. And so, some of the bigger things that surfaced for me was the understanding of my patterns in my behavior because of my childhood. And I know, like, I've talked about this quite a bit, but I started this group. I share these things because I prayed as a little girl every night that I would help kids like me because I was so lonely and so lost that I wanted to be there for kids like me. And today, my husband and I, we do work with a lot of kids that have similar backgrounds like me that are in shelters. However, I recognize that it starts with the family. It starts with the adults rather than us going to find kids that are in these situations. What about looking at ourselves and looking at the people in our families, looking at, you know, the situation in its entirety, and being there for kids more and being better as adults because they are watching everything we do. They are not listening to shit we say, especially the way we say it, especially when we're trying to be forceful with our words. We're actually hurting them when we do that, you guys. When we're pinning our insecurities onto them that they don't really understand, when we're talking about our weight constantly, when we're talking about money constantly, when we're constantly complaining and not happy about our lives and our environment, that's what they are seeing, not just through our words, but they're feeling it. They're feeling fear for the future. They're feeling pain through us. They feel us and they watch us. My son and I had a discussion 2 days ago. My son and I have an amazing relationship, thank God. I'm grateful for that. But he said to me, Mom, it wasn't really what you were saying to me. It wasn't really what you were teaching me. It's what you showed me. And it made me so emotional because he said, Mom, he said, I saw you fight. I saw you make such amazing changes because you never gave up. It makes me emotional because it was hard. It was really hard a lot of the time to push through and give him what he needed. And I was fighting for him, but I didn't realize that that was creating the person he is today. He has no idea of, it's not possible. I'm, a minority man. I don't have a chance in this world. He has never, ever, ever put that into his mind and his heart because through me, he saw my effort and he saw that anything was possible. He saw the ups and downs, but he saw the fight. He felt the fight. He felt the love above all. And that's what created him today. He saw me looking out for others when I didn't even have it myself. He saw me giving everything I had because I saw someone needed it. And, he knew what our situation was, but he also knew that I saw people for people. And this kid is, he's so amazing in the world. He meets friends. He gives them, all of his knowledge, all of his resources. And, he's like, Mom, on social media, I don't really go on there, but a few people were talking about suicide and depression, especially during the holidays. And he's like, so I private message them. I give them my phone number. They call me. He's like, it feels so good to have like a 2-hour discussion on a Friday night when everybody's, turning up, being cool. He's like, we're on the phone talking about how we're going to push through and how life isn't easy, but we do have a support system. And I'm like, holy cow, all those nights that I was on the phone with friends, and, even now as an adult with my healing sessions and, the empowerment group, he was there and he was like, Mom, there should be way more things like this where women get together and talk about their families, talk about their trauma, and understand that you can move past it. And these are resources, these are tools. And he's like, this is great. He's like, boys should have it too. And so I'm actually getting a lot of feedback from men like, can I sign up for this? And unfortunately, we need a safe space. I'm not saying men are bad. I'm not saying that it's, their fault whatsoever. But what I am saying is they struggle too, and if we can treat them like human beings and we're not breaking them down and we're not looking at them like the bad guy, they're going to be better to us. It goes both ways. So in the short term, it's a women's thing. We're keeping it that way. They're not allowed in our gang. However, I'm trying to convince my husband to do a men's support group for healing and growth as well. That's one of my biggest things is heal, fix your shit, grow from it, don't make the same mistakes, and inspire everyone around you. The goal is not to get all this attention and everybody, fuck that shit. That's not what I'm trying to say. But when you heal yourself and you grow, you show people it is possible. You show your family members, you show people that hurt you that are still struggling that they can do it too through you. Sometimes you do have to detach from them. You do have to, understand who you are in order to have an identity and to bring in those people that are like you. You have to raise your vibration by unplugging from those guys. And that's not easy, but it builds your character, it builds your identity to a stable person where no one can manipulate you and fuck with your brain and take away who you are. But that happens when you're not trying to take from them, when we're not trying to steal their light, when we're not trying to take their resources, and we're not trying to manipulate them. That's when people can't manipulate us. It goes both ways. So really pay attention to how you see people and what you want from them. If all you want from them is a smile and their presence and that acceptance, that's what they're going to want from you. But you got to cut that old shit out, change your perspective, your mindset, and then again, heal, grow, inspire, repeat, because I've been doing this shit for over a decade now, and I continue to level up. And I'm telling you guys, it's never easy, and it gets harder and harder. But the one that occurred before made this one possible, and that's how it goes. So I encourage you to heal, grow, and repeat. And everyone around you will be inspired to do the same. And then we'll have a better world for those children that are struggling, that are going to grow up to be amazing human beings. And they're going to give that to their families. But it starts with us. Rather than looking at everyone who hurt us, everybody who did all this shit to us, guess what? They're hurting. That's why they do it. Hurt people. And that's a cycle. So if we want that to stop, it has to start with us. Love one another. If you see gossip, if you see drama, unfollow. You don't have to unfriend, but stop paying attention to it, because guess what? You're going out into the world in this bitter, jealous, way without it even being you. It's like the shit you're watching, all that drama on TV, and if you're paying attention to it, it's going to come out of you too. Just because you're watching it and you're not participating doesn't mean, you're watching fucking housewives and they're cheating and they're blinging out, and then you're looking at your husband like, you're not hooking me up, oh, that bitch is hotter than me, you're staring at her. All of a sudden you're fueled with anger and pain and resentment, and it wasn't even you to begin with. But it's all about what you're paying attention to. So be aware of where your mind is. Start researching positive shit. Message me. I have so many positive resources that I am more than happy to share. I'm constantly messaging people that I think of. I come across a resource and I'm like, oh my gosh, so-and-so would totally benefit from this. And sometimes people don't even respond to me. They ignore me, and I don't get my feelings hurt because it's not about me. If they don't want it, fine. If they stumble across it months later, that's their timing. That's when they were ready to receive their message, right? So all you got to do is heal yourself, grow yourself, learn from your mistakes, give yourself grace. You know, when you know better, you do better. If you don't know better right now, give yourself grace, because all of the people that hurt you are rejecting the growth, rejecting the accountability, and that's why they continue to do it. So it starts with accountability, and then you understand, and then you start perceiving the world differently, and you're not as judgmental. You're not looking at people for their faults and their mistakes, because you know what happens, and you know you did it too, because that's life, right? All right, one more thing. I'm going to pull a card for us, because that's always fun. All right, let's see what our message is. Let's see. So I am going to go with Ask Our Guides, just because it's like a gangster deck. It's like straight to the point. It tells you like it is. Like sometimes it's not a good message, but you know what? Sometimes that's what we need. So the way I do it, just to clear the energy, I shuffle first. I knock twice. That resets. I put it over my heart with my intention. My intention is for our women's group. What's our message? What do we all need to know right now? 3 big breaths. All right, see what we got, ladies. Boredom. I like this one. So the thing with boredom is, if you see here, there's an adult and there's a child. And then there's another adult handing over a heart. You guys, it's our responsibility to be there for the youth. Maybe you don't have kids, but you know what? Doesn't mean you have to shut them out and reject them. And we do that because of our own pain, and we felt rejected. So I don't have kids. I don't want to see kids. It's not their fault. They're innocent. They're like animals. They love us no matter what. And they also feel us. If they're staying away from us, it's because they know they're not wanted. When kids are flipping out in stores and salons and, wherever, it's because they feel that tension. They feel unwanted. And they're going to repeat that later. They're going to do that to others. They're going to be blocked. They're not going to be open to love. You can't receive love if you're not giving it. This adult is handing that child a heart. We give them the ability to love others as children. Once they harden up and block and reject love moving forward, that's why we have the world we have, you guys. So this mother is like, hey, we're here to accept that love. I'm open to the love. You can be open to the love too. They mimic us. And see, here you see all of the animals and peace, and it's all surrounding this family because we're supported in our environment. We just have to reach out. When you're struggling, say so, but not in a whiny, bitchy way like boo-hoo, poor me, everybody. No, I'm struggling, but I'm working through it. This is what I plan on doing. This is how I'm going to do it. And handle your shit. And show them that, because, so much pain comes from childhood and then it's surfacing in adulthood because we never healed it. You got to heal that shit first, okay? So that's what I really want everybody to focus on moving forward. If you know of kids in the neighborhood that don't have great families, invite them over for meals. Go buy some ramen noodles and give it to them so they could feed themselves. So many days I didn't eat. I had, nobody was feeding me. I was in line for a free sack lunch during the summer. And during breaks, it was hard. I would go walk on my own at 7 years old in the hood to go to a family member's house, and they'd ask, what are you doing here? Where's your mom? And I wasn't allowed to be honest about what was actually going on. So I just wanted to come over. Well, you need to go home. We're going to eat. I shut my mouth and I walked my ass home crying because I was hungry and I didn't say so. Children are innocent, you guys. Look out for them. Maybe for Christmas, give an extra $20 to your school for kids that aren't paying their fees and can't eat. That is very sad, and that is very hard for a child to admit, especially when the parents are teaching them that we just don't have it, okay? So we got to look out for our kids, and I'm actually, of course, the right message is going to come out. That's how it works. All right, you guys have a wonderful day.